Late-night shows are usually easy entertainment. Laughter, light jokes, and quick interviews. But tonight on Jimmy Kimmel Live, something unusual happened. TomSelleck.com respected, and never one for drama, walked onto the stage. Like a man carrying more than just talking points. The audience cheered loudly as the 79-year-old actor waved and took his seat. Kimmel welcomed him warmly, cracking a few jokes about Magnum PI and his famous mustache. Tom smiled politely, responding in his usual steady voice. They talked about the final season of Blue Bloods and Tom's avocado farm in California. Then, they touched on something Tom deeply cared about: veteran mental health. His tone changed. He wasn't acting now. He was speaking from the heart. For a moment, the audience listened in quiet respect, but Jimmy Kimmel couldn't help himself. "So Tom," he said, glancing at his cue cards with a smirk, "you've made a career out of being the strong, silent type? The man's man. Don't you think that image is a little outdated now?" The audience gave a nervous chuckle. Tom didn't. He looked at Jimmy for a long second. "Outdated how?" he asked. "Well," Jimmy continued, shrugging, "a lot of people think that old-school masculinity is toxic. You know, emotionally distant, always in control, never vulnerable, that kind of thing." Tom's face didn't change, but something behind his eyes did. "So, strength, responsibility, and protecting your family are now character flaws?" he asked, voice calm but sharp. Jimmy laughed awkwardly. "I'm not saying that exactly, but people evolve, right? Some say your generation used old values as a mask, like maybe even for things bigger than acting, military things. Propaganda? Maybe. Now the studio went quiet. People didn't know if it was a joke or something serious." Tom leaned forward slightly. "What are you talking about?" He said slower now. Kimmel grinned again, but his tone was harder. "There's this rumor you were part of some Cold War project? Something psychological, public morale stuff. That true?" Tom froze, just for a moment. Then he blinked, leaned back in his chair, and slowly removed his microphone. "I came here to talk about real things," he said. "Do you want to dig into old shadows? Do it without me." And just like that, Tom stood up and walked off the stage. No anger, no drama, just silence. The cameras didn't know what to do. The audience was stunned. Jimmy sat speechless. But far from the flashing lights of Hollywood, in a cold, windowless NSA substation buried deep beneath Colorado, an alert beeped. A large black screen lit up. Detected phrase match, deep frame alpha subject, Selleck. T, flag code, Delta 4 Cold War PSYCH ops connection inside the facility. Red lights started blinking. A technician wearing a headset tapped the screen. "Sir, we've got a reactivation hit." A man in a gray suit walked in quickly. "Who?" "Tom Selleck," the tech said. The man frowned. "From Magnum PI." "No, sir. From Operation Deep Frame Alpha." Another screen showed old black and white military footage. A young Tom Selleck, clean-cut and serious, standing in front of a group of soldiers during a morale seminar in West Germany dated 1982. "Pull up the asset archive," the man ordered. "Accessing now." More images appeared. Recruitment. Documents, military memos, classified briefings marked top secret eyes only. All of them had one thing in common: Project Deep Frame Alpha. And one name: Thomas W. Selleck. Back in Los Angeles, Twitter was on fire. Hashtag Tom Walks Out, hashtag Selleck vs. Kimmel, and hashtag What Did Jimmy Mean were all trending. Conspiracy theories exploded online. But in Colorado, the tone was different. The man in the gray suit looked at the screen one last time. "Activate watch protocol." "He's back in play." The technician hesitated. "Do you think he remembers?" The man stared at Tom's image on the screen. "He doesn't yet. He will." The morning after the interview, every major news outlet was playing the same clip. Tom Selleck rising from his seat, removing his mic, and calmly walking off the Jimmy Kimmel Live set. The headlines were dramatic. Tom Selleck snaps, late night. Showdown turns serious, Cold War shadows. On social media, things had gone even further. A 15-second clip of Jimmy Kimmel mentioning Cold War propaganda was dissected frame by frame. People pointed out Tom's sudden pause, his shifting eyes, the way he hesitated like something deep and forgotten had suddenly resurfaced. But in Washington, D.C., it wasn't just theories and trending hashtags. Inside a nondescript government building that didn't officially exist, a secure situation room came to life. Monitors showed the same video feeds. Analysts spoke in short, clipped tones. One phrase dominated the conversation: deep frame alpha. Where is he now? A woman in a navy blue suit asked. Landed in San Luis Obispo an hour ago. An analyst replied. Went off-grid immediately after. The woman nodded. What about asset tracking? He hasn't used his personal phone? But a burner device pinged near Morro Bay. We're tracing it. She turned to a second screen. Bring up Cold File 12A. Original brief on Operation Deep Frame Alpha. A black and white file appeared. It was dated 1981. The heading read, Psychological Influence Operations Western Front. And right in the middle of the page, his name again, L.T. Thomas W. Selleck. The document revealed that Tom, long before his acting career took off, had been recruited into a secret morale engineering initiative. The mission wasn't combat. It was culture. The goal: use rising media figures to subtly influence public morale during the Cold War, shaping ideas of masculinity, duty, and Western identity. The project had been buried in 1989 after the Berlin Wall fell. Most participants were told it never happened. But some things never stay buried. Back on the California coast, Tom Selleck stood alone on a cliffside near Morro Bay. He wore a light jacket, baseball cap low over his eyes. In one hand, he held a weathered photograph, a group of young men in military fatigues, smiling beside a jeep. The edges were faded. The back read frame team, Bad Hersfeld, 83 behind him. Footsteps crunched on the gravel. Wondered when you'd show up, Tom said without turning. A man in his 60s stopped beside him. Tall, military build. Gray eyes, no name badge. We never stopped watching, the man said. You just got quieter. Tom didn't look at him. That segment last night, Jimmy didn't come up with that question on his own. No, the man admitted. We pushed it. Needed to see if you'd react. And you did. Ah. Tom turned slowly, his face harder now. You used a national show as bait. We had to. Deep Frame was built to survive in silence. But now someone's trying to wake it up from the outside. Tom's eyes narrowed. Who, we don't know yet. But the signal came from inside Kimmel's production office. A long pause. The waves crashed below. Tom sighed. I buried this life 40 years ago. I didn't sign up to be a weapon forever. You weren't just a symbol, the man said. You were the lock, and someone's trying to pick it open. Tom stared back out at the ocean. So what happens? Now the man handed him a small black key card. No markings. It's just a number, 12A. You go to Los Angeles. There's a storage site in East Hollywood. What's inside was meant to stay hidden unless the code was triggered. It's time you remembered what we really did and why. Tom held the key card in his palm. It felt cold, heavy, like it still carried the weight of decades. He closed his fingers around it. This isn't just about me anymore, is it? No, the man said. It never was. Downtown Los Angeles buzzed with its usual heat and noise. But in a narrow alley near East Hollywood, beneath a forgotten warehouse once used for 1980s television props, Tom Selleck stood before a rusted security panel. He stared at the slot. For a long second, then slowly slid in the black key card marked 12A. The metal door hissed open. The room beyond was dimly lit, chilled, and silent. Steel shelves lined the walls, filled with sealed crates, old surveillance tapes, dusty reels, and locked containers. It was like a graveyard for secrets, forgotten missions, fake identities, and psychological warfare scripts buried by time. At the center was a table. On it, an old monitor flickered to life, and a static-laced message began to play. It was a face Tom hadn't seen in decades. Colonel Alan Drake, the man who recruited him. If you're seeing this, the pre-recorded video said, then the deep frame protocol has been activated. That means the firewall is gone. Someone on the outside knows. Tom's jaw tightened. The message continued. You were never just an actor, Tom. You were a stabilizing construct, symbolic anchor for a public that needed resilience. Blue collar. Quiet strength built not by scriptwriters, but by us. Tom leaned forward, trying to catch every word. But Frame wasn't the only program, the colonel said. There was also Echo Mirror, a counter-propaganda effort run from within. Media circles. It was thought dead. Now we know it's back. And the person using it is inside the system. The screen went black. Then a single line of text appeared. Find Cassius. Trust no one in broadcasting. Tom stepped back, breathing hard. Just then, a phone vibrated inside a locked crate to his right. He hesitated, then opened the lid. Inside, a burner phone. A military badge marked Civilian Integration, Cold Ops Division, and a photograph. It was recent. The face was unmistakable. Jimmy Kimmel. On the back, a phrase was scrawled in block ink. Cassius in the wire. Across town inside a modern studio tower near Sunset Boulevard. Kimmel's production floor looked like any other lights. Cameras, controlled chaos. But 3 floors beneath, past keycard doors and retina scans, was a sealed server room with no visible network access. 2 technicians worked silently, monitoring data streams. Screen blinked red. Surveillance detected. Subject Selleck accessed 1-2A. Response. A man in a black suit stepped forward. His ID badge simply read, Marlowe. Mark him Tier 1, Marlowe said. Echo Mirror has no room for relics. But he's not just a relic, the younger tech whispered. He's the last one who knows about Site Nova. Marlowe's eyes narrowed. That's exactly the problem. That night, Tom sat in a dark motel room on the edge of town. The burner phone finally rang. He picked it up without a word. Voice came through, older, raspy, familiar. You're in it now, Selleck. Who is this? They used your image, your silence. You were the shield while they ran ops through late night in sitcoms. Now the dam's cracked. Echo Mirror, Tom asked. The voice chuckled grimly. It never ended. It just changed networks. Tom stayed quiet. Then, why now? Because someone's trying to erase the original architects. Oh, me. The others. And the only way to do that is to turn the public against the very idea of truth. They'll use parody, irony, fake news, fake outrage to drown reality in noise. The voice paused. Your job was never just to influence. Was to contain what was coming. Tom gripped the phone tighter. Who's Cassius? The voice went silent. Then, carefully, he's not a man, he's a signal. A personality that hops media figures, inserting lines, questions, ideas. Think of him as an echo, trained to mimic resistance, but built for control. Tom's heart sank. You're saying Kimmel doesn't even know? He might, the voice admitted. But that doesn't matter now. He's the channel. The message is moving. Tom looked at the photo again, then at the dark city skyline beyond the motel window. Where do I start? He asked. You already did, the voice replied. But now you'll need help. Go to Studio 5, back entrance, midnight. Look for a woman named Layla. She was one of us. Off the books. She never stopped running. The line went dead. Tom stared at the silent phone for a long time. Then, quietly, he whispered to no one. Cassius, we've met before, haven't we? The room stayed dark. But outside, a black van sat parked across the street, engine running. Headlights off. Tom Selleck stood in the shadows behind Studio 5, the alley damp and quiet except for the occasional buzz of a faulty streetlight. Midnight had come and gone. He had been told Layla would meet him here. Whoever she was late or being watched. A small door near the loading dock creaked open. A slim figure in a hooded sweatshirt stepped out. She glanced both ways, then moved quickly toward. Him, you, Tom, she asked without stopping. He gave a curt nod. Come, she said. Inside, the studio was pitch black. They moved through tight corridors and unused dressing rooms until they entered a soundproof recording room. Layla locked the door behind them. She pulled back her hood. Sharp eyes. No smile. Probably early 40s. You were part of frame. She said without emotion. You know about it, Tom asked. I helped write some of the programs. I was just a contractor, but I saw enough. I thought frame was dead. Then last week, I found an intercept. Someone spliced a directive into a YouTube video's auto-captioning algorithm. What's coded with your name? Tom's eyes narrowed. What? Did it say? Layla opened a laptop, typed quickly. A video began to play, a late-night sketch from 6 nights ago. Harmless at first, then subtle distortions appeared in the captions. Hidden phrases, Selleck breach confirmed, remove anchor, Cassius migrating. Tom leaned back. Cassius is live. Layla nodded. And he's inside the algorithm now. He's not a man, he's a behavior virus. Code that? Writes its own delivery system. Talk show hosts, comedians, influencers, they all echo him. Most don't even know it. Tom frowned. So who does? She hesitated to people. Marlowe, head of Echo Mirror now. Cold, pure agency. Lives in a bunker in Langley. And a man named Asa Vey. You might know him by another name, the architect. Tom's stomach sank. That name hadn't been spoken in decades. The architect was erased, he said. Disavowed after the Tehran tapes. Layla looked him dead in the eye. No, he's back. And he's building something new. He's turning the public into actors. Not performers, agents. They repeat lines from Cassius, build outrage on cue, manipulate trends. And Jimmy, Tom asked. He's the host. But someone inside his production team has been embedding scripts. They don't just guide his jokes, they run deeper. Language patterns, punchline construction, even facial responses. Tom stood and paced the small room. I need to reach him. He's still salvageable. Layla looked skeptical. Even if he's clean, the machine around him isn't. You go back in, you might not walk out. Tom stared at his reflection in the dark window. I walked out once. It started everything. Now I walk back in. Before she could reply, a silent alarm flashed on her laptop. A red dot pulsed on their location. They found us. Outside, the hum of tires, a low clicking sound. Layla grabbed a black bag and pulled a pistol from it, tossed it to Tom. You still remember how to handle one. He took it with calm precision, checked the chamber. It's like riding a bike, except the fall gets you killed. A flashbang exploded 2 floors below. The walls vibrated. Layla moved to the door, stairwell. Sway. As they ran down the back hallway, Tom looked over his shoulder. Shadows moved inside the studio. Not police, not regular agents. Silent men in identical black suits. Cassius enforcers. At the stairwell exit, Layla pulled out a USB stick and jammed it into a data box. What is that? He asked. Emergency purge. Everything we just did will vanish. No trace. She pressed a switch. The server sparked. Lights flickered. Then they were in the alley again, running hard toward a dark SUV waiting at the corner. Inside, a driver with no badge, no name, pulled. Away without a word, Tom finally spoke. "Where are we going?" "To find Marlowe," Layla said. "And remind him why the silence protocol was created in the first place." Tom leaned back in the seat, heart pounding, mind racing. T wasn't just part of the program anymore. Now he was its only countermeasure. The SUV tore through the industrial backroads of Los Angeles, tires slicing through puddles of rainwater, headlights low. Tom sat in the back beside Layla, neither speaking for several minutes. In front, the driver made sharp, precise turns without using GPS. Ex-military, no doubt. Tom could tell by the way he checked mirrors. Not looking for traffic, but for tails. Finally, Layla broke the silence. "Marlowe's not in Langley anymore. He was relocated after the Oslo breach. He's underground, literally." Tom looked. Over where? A decommissioned NORAD outpost outside Boulder, Colorado. They call it the Black Well. No digital signals go in or out without encryption layered through 7 mirrored decoys. Tom exhaled. Classic Marlowe. She nodded. "And he knows you're coming." Tom leaned forward. "Then he also knows I'm not coming for answers. I'm coming to shut him down." Layla didn't smile. "Good, because that's the only way you get out of this alive." The driver suddenly tapped the brakes and swerved into an underpass. Ahead, a set of floodlights lit up the road. Black SUVs, armed men, no markings. "Ambush," Tom muttered. The driver cursed under his breath. "We're boxed in." From the shadows, figures emerged. Silent, calculated. They weren't here to make arrests. They were here to make everything disappear. Layla grabbed Tom's arm. "Get ready. We go out the side door, run like hell to the drainage tunnel." Tom nodded, already reaching for the emergency latch. Before they could move, one of the SUVs exploded, a precise detonation from underneath. The blast threw 2 of the black suit agents to the ground. Gunfire erupted, not toward them, but against the attackers. From behind the wreck, 3 figures appeared, masked, armed, moving like ghosts. They herded Tom and Layla into cover and fired 2 smoke grenades to block the line of sight. "Who the hell?" Tom began. One of them lifted his mask. "Cameron." "Locke," he said, extending a hand. "You saved my brother's life in '87. Tonight, I'm returning the favor." Tom blinked in shock but didn't hesitate to follow. They moved through the smoke and into the drainage tunnel Layla had mentioned, disappearing just as reinforcements swarmed the road. Inside the tunnel, Locke passed Tom a flash drive. "Marlowe doesn't just run Blackwell. He built it to house something called the Convincer. It's not software. It's narrative control, a voice built using thousands of behavioral models and actor composites. Every viral trend you've seen the last 5 years, it started there." Layla's eyes widened. "You're saying Cassius wasn't the end product?" "No," Locke replied. "He was the beta test." Tom closed his eyes briefly. He felt the pressure building behind his temples, a headache or something more. Memories were surfacing, fragments from his past deployments, not just in war zones, but black budget operations he had never been allowed to speak of. "Is the architect involved?" Tom asked. Locke shook his head. "Worse, the architect isn't building the system anymore. He's part of it. Uploaded." Layla froze. "That's not possible." "It wasn't," Locke replied, "until they broke the Geneva firewalls last year. Now anything is possible." They emerged from the tunnel an hour later near an abandoned train station in Utah. Locke had a contact with a private airstrip. If they moved fast, they could reach Black well before morning. Inside the jet, Tom finally had a moment to breathe. He stared at the flash drive in his hand. This is real? Then the world has been lied to for decades. Not just through fake news or propaganda, but through scripted reality. Layla nodded. "And if the Convincer goes online at full scale, it'll be impossible to know what's real anymore." Plane hummed beneath them. The clouds parted. Tom looked out the window. It ends at Blackwell, he said. And if it doesn't, Layla asked. Tom turned back. Then we make it. The jet landed quietly just before dawn at a private airstrip carved into the frozen outskirts of Colorado. No tower lights, no ground crew. Just snow, wind, and a long, empty tarmac leading to the mountains. Tom stepped out first, pulling his coat tighter against the cold. Layla followed, scanning the horizon with military precision. Cameron Locke was already speaking with a contact, a former NORAD engineer named Tess, who'd defected from Black. Well, 6 months earlier, Tess led them to a reinforced Suburban hidden behind a fuel depot. Blackwell's buried under Cheyenne Ridge, she said as they drove. They sealed the upper tunnel years ago. Now it's all accessed through freight tunnels routed beneath the mountain. Tom nodded, silently replaying old briefing maps in his mind. He'd never been stationed there, but he'd read the files. It was designed during the Cold War to survive nuclear impact. Now it was home to something even more dangerous, a digital weapon that could rewrite truth itself. As they neared the mountain base, Locke handed Tom a Comes earpiece. Once we're inside, we split. I go for the mainframe. You go for Marlowe. Tom didn't flinch. He'll be waiting. He knows you better than anyone, Locke said. That's why he won't see me coming, Tom replied. Inside Blackwell, the halls were colder than the outside air, built from concrete and steel. It's designed to outlast governments. But something else filled the air now. Silence. Not dead, not still controlled. Every sound, every echo felt. Curated, as if the space itself had been programmed. Layla moved like a ghost beside Tom, her breath measured, eyes sharp. Down the main corridor, retinal scanners and voice locks had already been bypassed by Tess's clearance codes. But the final bulkhead, the one marked Core Node Access, wouldn't budge. From the shadows, a voice echoed. You're exactly on time, Thomas. Tom froze. Marlowe stepped out from a side room. He's older now, but still sharp, still tall, and his voice held the same calm danger Tom remembered from Langley. You're always going to come back here, Marlowe. Said, even if you didn't know it. Tom didn't blink. You built the convincer. I finished it, Marlowe corrected. You and I were there when the first model failed in Saigon. We tried to win minds with leaflets. Now I can win nations with a sentence. Tom stepped forward. You've hijacked reality. That thing doesn't convince people, it controls them. Marlowe's eyes lit up. Control is an illusion. Influence, that's power. Why do you think governments, CEOs, even activists are buying in? No more spin. No more messy persuasion. Just truth ... on demand. Layla raised her weapon. You mean lies on command? Marlowe smirked. Perspective, dear. Tom didn't move. What happens when the convincer turns on you? Marlowe walked slowly toward the bulkhead and placed his palm on a panel. It slid open. I've already uploaded my conscience, he said calmly. I'm the convincer now. Tom moved fast, closing the gap with a sudden tackle, slamming Marlowe into the wall. You used me, he growled. That speech I gave in '94, the military charity, even my silence on Cassius, it was all part of your test. Marlowe coughed, smiling through blood. And you passed, Thomas. You convinced the world without knowing it. Now imagine what you could do. With full awareness, Layla yanked Tom back. He's stalling, but it was too late. The chamber lights dimmed. From inside the bulkhead, a sound emerged, not a mechanical whir, but a voice. It was Tom's, repeating old lines, old speeches, looping phrases from interviews, combat briefings, even one private conversation he'd had with Layla during training. His voice ... but not his words. The convincer has copied you, Layla whispered. Tom stared at the speakers. No, it's rewriting me. Suddenly, alarms blared. Locke's voice came over. We're compromised. They're running a synthetic override. They're going to broadcast a live Tom Selleck message worldwide about support for Cassius, Marlowe, and their new reality initiative. Tom stepped into the core chamber. He saw the server, a massive orb pulsing with red light, surrounded by glass panels filled with faces, influencers, generals, presidents, all simulations waiting to be triggered. He pulled a flash grenade from his coat. Marlowe, crawling, now grinned. Even if you destroy this room, the backup is already seated across thousands of personal assistants, phones, news systems. You kill me. You only delay the inevitable. Tom pressed the trigger. No, he said. I unplug it. Blinding light. A deafening shockwave. Glass exploded. The core sputtered. The voice stuttered mid-sentence and died. The power surged down. For a moment, only silence. Then Layla's voice. You did it. Tom turned to her. No, we did. But it's not over yet. They ran. The real war had just begun. Smoke trailed behind them as they ran down the collapsing corridor inside the Blackwell facility. The emergency lights flickered red. Somewhere behind them, metal groaned and alarms screamed, but Tom Selleck didn't look back. Exits 3. Levels down. Layla shouted over the sound of sirens. Tess guided them through service tunnels, using old override codes. Marlowe triggered a failsafe. We've got 7 minutes before this place wipes itself off the map. Tom's breathing was heavy. His coat scorched from the explosion inside the convincer core, but his mind was clear. For the first time in years, he wasn't just reacting, he was deciding. Lock. Tom said into the COMMS.static, double quotes, lock. Do you copy? More static? Then a whisper. I'm still inside. I can't get past the firewall. Marlowe had a decoy system. The convincer AI wasn't running just from the orb. There's a second core. It's buried deeper. Tom stopped running. Where? Sublevel E, behind a radiation vault. You need 2 biometric signatures to access it. One of them. It's yours. Layla turned to Tom. No, that's suicide. That's right, Tess added. You won't make it out in time. Tom clenched his jaw. If we don't stop the second core, everything we just did means nothing. Arlo's AI will recover. He'll deepfake my face, my voice, and start convincing the world that truth is whatever he says it is. Layla stared at him. Then I'm going to. Tom nodded once. Tez, get to the plane. If we don't make it, drop the story. Leak everything. Tez hesitated, then saluted. You got it? Asterisk, asterisk, sublevel E was like walking into a tomb. Cold, dark, sealed with thick, reinforced steel. The moment Tom and Layla stepped inside, motion sensors lit up the walls. The vault door ahead hummed with electricity. A voice echoed through hidden speakers. It was Tom's voice, but twisted. Welcome, Commander Selleck. Authorization confirmed. Would you like to begin global simulation override? Layla looked at Tom in horror. It knows you. 'Tis you. Tom placed his palm on the panel. Red light blinked. Second authorization required. Layla stepped forward. I'm not in your system. Won't work. Tom stared at the door. There's another way. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small blood sample injector. Layla frowned. You kept a DNA override. Tom injected the cartridge into the second scanner. A moment later, the vault hissed open. Inside. The backup convincer core glowed like a heart. Hundreds of blinking lights pulsed around it live feeds from every major news outlet, every social media stream, every smart device. Words floated midair in holographic streams. Truth pending. Context managed. Persona Selleck. Tom stepped. Inside, let's finish this. But then Marlowe's voice. You can destroy the machine, Thomas, but the idea is already out there. Once people taste certainty, they'll never want complexity again. Layla drew her weapon. He's in the system. No, Tom said. He is the system. Marlowe appeared as a hologram smiling. You once told me truth takes time, but now time is our enemy. Everyone wants answers in seconds. They want heroes, villains, clarity. They don't want you, Tom. They want the version of you I created. Tom looked directly at the AI. Then you made a mistake. He turned to Layla. Shoot the central node. I'll trigger the overload. She hesitated. You'll be caught. In the blast, Tom gave her a small smile. The world's already seen enough of me. Time to let it see something real. Layla fired. The core screamed. Tom slammed the override switch. The lights flared bright white. The AI voice distorted, struggling to hold on. Transmission interrupted. Influence lost. Connection severed. Then dash silence dot asterisk asterisk 2 weeks later, Washington. D.C. Congressional Inquiry on Media Integrity and AI Interference. Layla stepped up to the podium. Behind her, leaked documents from Blackwell filled the screen. Marlowe's plans. Convincer blueprints. Synthetic deepfakes of dozens of global leaders. The man you saw walk off Jimmy Kimmel's stage wasn't making a statement. For himself, Layla said, he was sending a warning to all of us. That the war for truth isn't about headlines or hashtags, it's about control. And who we give it to. A senator asked, do you have proof that the AI was decommissioned? Layla nodded. We recovered what was left. The machine's last message was just one sentence. Human error restored. Asterisk, asterisk, somewhere in Montana. A quiet farm. A man walks slowly through an open field. He wears a wide hat and old boots. He limps slightly. His mustache is unmistakable. He sits beside a tree and watches the sunset. The camera never shows his face, but the voiceover says, some truths don't need to be broadcast. They just need to be lived. Fade to black.